Well,
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 well.
well.
3 holes in the ground.
3 holes in the ground. Holy cow.
Okay,
Hey,
so
buddy.
I'm just gonna jump on it right now.
What are you
With the
jumping
beard? What's up with the beard?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to get in the habit of this. Who are you?
Hmm?
Who are you?
I'm Sean.
Hi, I'm PJ.
Nice to meet you,
For
PJ.
anybody listening, this is who we are. Nice.
Yep.
Okay, horse in the room. No, it's not a horse in the room. What's in the room? Elephant in the room.
White elephant.
Elephant in the room. Well, an animal in the room, nonetheless.
Animal in the room.
For those watching, I have beads and braids in my beard. I volunteer at a hairdressing school. Yep.
That seems ironic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, given my bald head. I volunteer there for people to like experiment and like have experience with beards.
Oh,
cool.
Okay.
It's twofold. Number one, they get to experience like how to cut and how to trim and how to respect a beard, I guess.
Sure.
So that I can wear the beard properly, which is the term that's used fairly often. And then the other side of it is that given the state that most hairdressers generally are females, it gives them opportunity to be within the bubble of a male for an extended amount of time doing their hair in one way or another as well. So yesterday I had the appointment. I was there for an hour or so, and the whole class was like, "Can I straighten your beard?" And I'm like, "Let's go, cool." And somebody was
Nice.
like, "Hey, can I put braids in your hair?" And I happen to have these rune beads, like beard beads, so I look like a Viking. And I brought those, and they're like, "Can we put those in your beard?" I'm like, "Sure, go for it." So I just had like a whole bunch of people around me playing with my beard. But meanwhile, for the past 24 hours, I've had everybody say that I look like Jack Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. See, I would have nothing to offer a hair school. Like, not
you would have zero, by the way.
Zero to offer.
That's amazing.
I mean, unless there's something to do with ear, nose hair, or maybe a little bit of back hair. But
probably they shave as well. Like they actually use a razor on a balloon to practice. Like,
oh, okay. Well,
shaving.
Then maybe the next time I need a coif done.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'd like my head shaved, or I'd like my face shaved. Have you ever had a beard? Now that I think about it,
I have. Yeah, I've actually had a I used to have a very substantial beard,
like a wilderness beard.
I wouldn't say wilderness, but
you were chopping lumber.
I do have a photo of it. Actually, the only photo of me with a beard is I was hanging out with Dennis Chambers, and stupidly at the time I forgot I put on a tie shirt, tie drums, and we're sitting there. We're about to get our picture taken. He goes, "Hey, close your jacket for a sec."
Whoa!
It's very serious.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but so
brand etiquette. Respect to the brand.
But my beard doesn't grow down; it grows out. And so my brother, who so eloquently put it, said, "You should shave that." And I said, "Well," he goes, "You look like a fucking Ewok."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I pretty quickly shaved it.
Really? You had somebody else influence your decision on your facial hair?
Well, I gotta admit, I wasn't loving the beard. That's a whole. The itchy thing was getting to me, and it's not a pretty beard. It's really strange.
Okay, yeah.
Which is why I've never grown one, because like I said, it doesn't even grow down. Like it literally grows out.
Yeah,
This way.
The old Yukon Cornelius.
Yeah, and I literally look like a Ewok.
Wow. So. Ewok is okay, probably of the era, but I'm getting a lot of Gimli right now.
Sure.
A lot of dwarf situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my beard situation. And I totally feel my beard covers my shirt, so whatever logo I have on my shirt, people can't read it anyways. So logo shirts are pointless.
You need a logo that's on either side of your beard.
Why don't they make those shirts for bearded people? That'd be great.
Yeah.
Having like writing on the sides.
Yep. This is a
beard zone.
Yep. This is a beard shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a beard month maybe.
I'm writing it down.
A day or something
beard
like that.
Shirt. If anybody's out there, beard shirt that makes shirts for long bearded men.
Yeah, long bearded folk.
I wrote beard shit for some reason. Beard short.
Yeah.
Shirt. Nice. Okay, well, it's super nice to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. How you doing? Let's do the quick 45-second hello.
Good, yeah. Yeah, really good, yeah. Still doing the dad thing.
Yep.
I was out with my son, actually, met a friend in an alleyway, and I bought some sticks off him. My son was there.
That's not.
It was weird.
That requires no more follow-up questioning.
It was just a strange thing. Yeah. But, my son's first experience buying sticks in an alleyway.
Back alley lumber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were they branded, or was it just a guy with a long knife?
No, they were branded, but I'm not going to give them any airtime at the moment. I haven't used them yet, so we'll see.
Oh, that's great. But it was definitely a back alley, though.
Yeah, it was definitely a back alley.
To be clear,
it was a guy who owns a backline company, and he was in the back of the club loading it. That's why I was in the back alley, and then I had to. Yeah, so me and Jagger were hanging out in the back alley buying sticks from some random.
Nice. And did you say, this is how you hand somebody money inconspicuously? You fold it up in your hand and you do a handshake.
Feel like that was a really good dad moment.
Like you're tipping at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay, I feel that 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah. Jagger was pretty happy.
Great. Good.
He got to play with the sticks in the back on the way home.
You got a drummer in the family? Do you feel like he's drumming?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jagger, I think he would be a good drummer. Yeah, I think he's quite aggressive when he plays.
Oh, okay.
And he's actually a very good singer.
Okay.
Ironically, my wife, who is a singer, is a vocal coach. Yeah. When Jagger hears a noise, she's like, he's almost pitch perfect. Yeah, it's really interesting. Not like his dad at all.
Yeah, of course not. You just played bass with your left hand.
Couldn't carry a tune in a box.
Yeah. Like my grandfather always said, I can barely play the radio.
There you go. That would be me.
Nice. The only reason I say that is because I was helping with a drum school today. I was reheading all their drums. Oh, wow. And which is topical for today, as a matter of fact. But I was putting new drum heads on all of their drum kits. And the owner, I was with him, teaching him a bit about drum head tension, as well as kick, spring, like basically teching all of his kits that he's got there. Yep. And his children were there drumming, and they must have been the same age. I think they're the same age as your kids, for that matter. I guess same as Jagger, by the way. Jagger. And they were loving drums. They're playing drums heavily and in the background, and just loving what their dad does. I think that's pretty cool. It's very easy as a kid to kind of, well, my dad does this, and I don't want to do that. I want to become an accountant or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But when your kids are kind of excited about what you do, that must be pretty neat. I don't have to, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. No. My dad was a firefighter, so I mean, I was always excited about that. But I didn't try firefighting.
Have you ever put out a fire ever in your life?
One.
Then you're a firefighter.
Well, I guess that makes me a fight. In this day and age, that's right. It makes me. I've put out a fire. I'm a firefighter.
Yeah, that's right. You put that on your LinkedIn page. You're good to go.
That's right.
I've successfully put out 100% of every fire I've experienced.
Yes.
Oh, good. Well, then you've got 100%.
100%
success rate.
Success rate. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
our guest.
Speaking of drum heads that I was doing all
drum
today,
heads and
Sean, tell us a bit what's going on today.
Well, we're gonna speak to probably, I would say he's probably the nicest guy in the entire drumming industry. My personal feeling of all the drum guys I've met, I think everybody likes our guest today.
At the very end, I will do, like, if we let him go first, I will tell you whether or not your assessment is correct.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Cool. Yeah. Anyone I've ever talked to in I think they have known him since 2012 or something, maybe even 2011. Yeah. And no one has ever said a word against him. Everyone thinks he's the greatest guy in the world.
Well, we got to find some dirt on this guy.
Right. Without further ado, from Aquarian Drumheads, the one and only Chris Brady. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Chris.
Hey guys, let me just tell you, PJ, that Sean is 100% right. You don't need to wait till the end of the show. Okay?
No, you've already just lost a point. You just lost a point, by the way. You just lost a point. 100%.
Okay. And also, Sean, I think you dropped something earlier. I found it on the ground. Did I gain my point back, PJ?
You did, 100%. Yeah. Call people on their shit. I love it. Yeah. You gained 2 points on that one. You're already at 11 out of 10.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it can go downhill quick, though. It can go downhill quick.
You guys
we're
okay?
good.
Thanks for
We're
having
very
me
good.
today.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a long time coming. I've wanted to speak with Chris for quite a while, just for various reasons. But I don't know. Actually, Chris, I think this is the first time we've talked face to face. Maybe not in person. We've never talked in person, but like we've actually never seen each other when we talk.
We spoke quite a bit, pre-COVID on the phone, but I don't think
Yeah.
I ever knew what you looked like.
No.
And you probably didn't know what I looked like.
No, I did. I knew what you looked like.
You both don't have beards.
Yes.
Okay,
That's
well,
true.
nobody cares about that.
And but
I still have enough. I still have a little bit enough here left.
Chris could go to a hairstyling school.
I could volunteer at your place.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
sounds great.
Absolutely, you could.
And I've got plenty of back hair. They can braid the heck out of
Oh
it.
my goodness, I feel that 100%. I made a joke yesterday that I didn't know where my beard ended and my chest hair began. So
Right.
it was a bit of a lesson to this group of like 20 young girls. This is chest hair, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it migrated from here. It's been migrating from here to there. It's the Italian half of me. It's just like, it's kind of crazy.
So to be clear, you're not 18 years old now. You're a little older. You've been in the business for a while.
I've been here at Aquarium. This November will be my 27th year at Aquarium.
Wow.
That's phenomenal.
Would that be?
I don't know if it's phenomenal or luck, but
Well, you haven't messed up yet, I guess is kind of the deal.
oh, I have. Believe me.
Oh, you're at that level.
Yeah,
That's great.
And also, by the way, guys, there are plenty of people out there, I'm sure, that don't care for me. So, but I'm glad I fooled you.
You've destroyed them all.
I doubt that highly. I think your new title should be the nicest guy in the world, or at least.
Well, okay, Sean. Why is Chris such a nice guy? What has been his history with you that has put him on a bit of a pedestal?
Man, he's just
And
a
then we'll
pleasant.
hear from
He's just
him,
a pleasant guy. But everyone I talk to, have you ever met Chris Brady? Oh yeah, Chris is a great guy. I think the other thing was prior to Drum Geeks becoming,
Mm-hmm.
existed an entity called the Black Page.
Yes.
And Chris was a huge supporter of that. And often if Chris would phone me, he would actually beatbox part of the intro to the Black Page.
Whoa.
Oh, I just blew the 5 lit.
See?
It's been a while, okay?
Impressive, right? And this is on a flip phone. He's doing this, not all this technology.
Okay,
so
don't start aging us here by bringing up old technology.
Yeah.
But also, and also too. Well, I guess we are you American?
Are you American? Are you in America, Chris? Where are you at?
I am
Generally
in Orange County, California, about I don't know 4 or 5 miles from Disneyland.
Yeah,
that's where our offices are at in Orange. Really close to the convention center. We're about a 7-minute drive when we have to go to the NAMM show.
Nice.
You're not booking
Aquarium
hotels.
guys are the closest.
Yeah, we don't have to book a hotel. I can go home.
Yeah.
Stay. I'm not having to scramble, because all the hotels are booked out and they're $500 a night or some ridiculous.
Right.
So there's a lot of benefits to being that close.
But you could expense a couple hotel rooms for that just to get away from things, though. You should totally.
I could, but it would. Why? Spending all day at the show, the last thing when you're younger, it's fun.
Right.
I'm pushing 60, and after spending all day at the show for 8 hours talking, the last thing you want to do is slog through tons of people to get through the Hilton, or and it's just crowded. You're like, get out of my way.
Yes. Yeah, I've experienced that. Yeah, especially the NAMM show. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Chris, when you started at Aquarian, I'm assuming was that long after Aquarian had started?
Yes, I started in '97, and Aquarian its infancy was in the early '80s.
Early '80s, right? Okay.
So it was well on its way. The company started out making accessories, and the original name was Aquarian Coatings, because one of the owners, the primary owner, had a powder coating business,
right?
Powder coating metal, and then the percussion stuff got involved through Roy and this other partner, and then it became Aquarian Accessories, because at that point there were no drum heads. It was cymbal springs, sticks and little stick bags, and I think they had a miking system. They didn't make it. It was outsourced, but it was things like that. Drum heads came in later.
Okay.
And so by the time I started here, there were drum heads. So it was full accessories and drum. And then we just changed the name to Aquarian Drum Heads at that point.
Interesting. And so I know I did. I don't know if I'm not sure when I interviewed Roy whether or not I asked him this, but what led him to opening
sure
the business?
Let's see if I can do this in a not turn it into a whole giant story.
Yeah.
Roy worked for Rogers.
Yeah.
And then that got bought by Fender CBS. CBS bought Fender Rogers and moved that whole thing to Fullerton. Well, Ron's powder coating was 10 minutes from Fullerton. And Ron was powder coating metal parts for Fender. I think maybe some of the things on the Rhodes piano. So there was a connection there between Ron's company, Aquarian Coatings, and Fender. And so Rogers was also looking into possibly powder coating or different ways to treat some of the hardware potentially. And that's how that connection worked with Ron and Roy. And basically, Roy told Ron one day, he says, "Hey, I'm just telling you, I'm getting out of this thing. The corporate guys are going to ruin this company," meaning, Rogers Drums. Yeah. And he says, "I can't take it anymore. I'm going to leave, quit. I'm just letting you know." And Ron said, "Hey," because Ron loved to start businesses and he just loved to make things and manufacturing. He goes, "Let's do something together." Wow. And there was also a third partner at the beginning named Dave Donahoe, who I believe also worked at Fender. No, I'm sorry, not Fender, Rogers. And he was the guy that developed a lot of the hardware, the actual mechanical things.
Okay.
And anyway, the three of them decided to, launch this company, Aquarian Accessories, and give it a go. And the first product didn't quite look like this, but was the cymbal spring.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. Totally.
This was probably one of the first, and they expanded off of that because, as you can imagine, it's kind of hard to make just have this be your only.
Yeah.
That's the only SKU we have.
Yeah, I've watched Dragon's Den. They want more than one SKU.
They want more than one SKU. So, but yeah, that's how the inception of the company started.
Yeah.
And at some point, the third partner, Dave, I think I don't know what happened. Maybe he moved on, or they bought him out, or I don't know the particulars. But then eventually it was just Ron and Roy.
Yeah. And what led you to Aquarian? Was it a happenstance, or was you?
It was targeted and a happenstance. I was about 31 and married, and a kid on the way, which I know you have one, and his name is Jagger, according to DJ.
That's what I call him.
I have two, actually.
Jagger.
And I was working in music stores, and I was playing top 40. Although that was starting to fade out because clubs were becoming less and less. Yeah. You used to be able to play 5-6 nights a week easily and make pretty good money for the 80s. And so I was doing that and teaching drum lessons. But I was getting up there and I thought, I'm 31, kids on the way.
Oh.
It's not happening yet. I need to really have an assessment here. So I sent out some resumes to different companies, and some sent back letters, and they were really nice. I remember, gee whiz, here's senior moment here, right?
Nice. Say any name. Just say Dennis Chambers. That'll work.
Yeah, right. The secret word for today is
exactly. That'll be our variable for the day.
There you go.
You can't think of something. Say Dennis Chambers.
Dennis Chambers. So me and Mike's sent a very nice letter back out of some of the companies. He responded, and I was like, well, he didn't have anything, but he was very nice. And Roy sent something back. Same thing. There's nothing here now. I kid you not. 2 weeks later, now I knew about Roy because I'd worked in drum shops and stuff, and I'd met him at NAMM show. He didn't know who I was, but you're going to the booth, and 2 weeks later, he called and said, "Hey, Chris, it's Roy." And I'm like, "Well, what?" And he said, "There might be a place here for you. A job opened up. You want to come in and interview?" And I was kind of freaking out, right? I mean, I'd never really done everything I had was just you kind of fall into it.
Yeah.
Hey, the store needs another guy. Come on in. Hey,
Right.
I recommended you for a gig. Hey, this student recommended you to another. You know how it goes. So there was never, but this was a formal. And I get in my suit, and I'm dry. I'm sweating. And I remember that day because it was really, I don't know if you guys have this in Canada. You get those days that look apocalyptic, like the sun's kind of orange and it's really hazy. And you think, is today the end of the world? And it was like that. I think there was a fire. And so
every day before I even open up my blinds, I imagine that's what it looks like outside anyways every day. So
and sometimes it does. And that was one of those days. And it was a little foreboding. Anyway, I got there, and I just was honest. And one of the things they were worried about, they both kept harping on, was, okay, if you start working here, in a month, you're not going to be off asking to get time off to go do a tour. You're going to get a gig and leave us. Right. And I said, guys, don't worry. First of all, I knew that wasn't going to happen. But I said, I knew I wanted something stable.
Right.
I started to know by that point, I'm kind of a homebody. Even if I was the it guy, I really want to be out on the road all the time. I mean, you guys have probably experienced the road yourselves or talked to enough drummers to know.
So. Yep.
There's a few guys that just feed off of it. They love it. It's like an energy. But a lot of guys are like, as they get older, they kind of want to be home more. And it's hard, to be on the road. I watched that Rick Beato's channel. He had that front of house guy for the Stones, and he asked him, he goes, "You still like to travel?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, not so much anymore. I'd rather be home."
Right.
Yeah.
And he's doing all the great gigs there is for an FOH.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'd rather be home."
Yeah. I think your distance from home as you get older, you start evaluating money, and then you start putting so much value on time. Time is worth way more to me now. So when I think about, like, I got offered a gig for 2 weeks from now, and it's 2 hours away. Not that big of a deal, 2 hours away, but I'm like,
I'd be out.
I got to factor. I got to factor in a whole bunch of things. Is it worth it? I haven't sadly replied yet. So if he's watching this,
if it's $1,000, maybe you go, okay. But 2 hours, is it 2 hours one way?
2 hours one way, so 4 hour total. Right, exactly.
Let me help you, PJ.
I know, but that math now comes in at this age. Do I want to be sitting behind the wheel? Where I think when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, I'll drive 5 hours for $100. Let's go." Who am I networking with? What's going on? Right?
Yeah. When you're 19, 20, you're just like,
right.
You're ready to. I remember I was going to school, teaching, working part time, and gigging at night. And I'd be school. Job half the day, and then I get out at 5 or 6 and go, oh, I got to drive up to Big Bear and do a gig starting at 9 o'clock. Big Bear's 2 hours away at least.
Yeah,
it's in the mountains. We're on by the ocean.
Yikes!
And you would just do that and really kind of just not flinch. But when you said 2 hours one way, that was enough for me.
That's 4 hour being in my vehicle for 4 hours.
Yeah,
I know.
And then some guys telling you, could you not play the ride cymbal so much and on this section? And you're like, okay.
I just said to him, can I still be in bed by 10?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
If I can't, I'm not taking
it. But now I know my business enough that I'm like, is hotels covered? Is drinks covered? Is food? Like, where's my value outside of that? Are you paying my fuel? Are you... what am I getting extra added value to this that might make it interesting to me? But I have to, just like you, everybody here had to, you have to run your business, and time, money, and other value added.
Well, as we get older, we know all the right questions to ask up front and to solidify ahead of,
I think, and for the guys that do go out on the big gigs, and even as cushy as it can be, you're still away. I remember my favorite story is Thomas Lang hosted Charlie Watts, and you guys may know this story. I know Thomas has told a lot, but Charlie used to, when he would book into a hotel, he would phone Shirley, his wife, and he would leave the phone off the cradle on the table. And that, so Thomas goes to take Charlie to the airport, and the hotel keeper gives him his bill, and there's like a $10,000 phone bill.
Whoa! Are you kidding me?
Because I guess this is what Charlie does: is he phones Shirley the moment he gets to where he's going, and he would take the phone off the hook and just leave it on the desk so that they could communicate with each other
anytime. Exactly.
anytime. Yeah. So Thomas didn't know this, of course, and he's like, whatever. He says, I paid the bill. He's like, it's Charlie fucking Watts. What am I going to do?
Right.
Say no? So he pays the bill, and then he goes, Charlie goes, do you know about like Skype?
Right.
So
Oh my God, a carrier pigeon would have been cheaper.
Evidently, Thomas schooled Charlie on the finer points of Skype.
Well, like we've learned with getting older, the right questions to ask. That would have never occurred to me. But now, if you host a legendary guy, you got to ask.
Yep.
You're not going to leave the phone off the hook, or anything,
right?
I mean, yeah, you're Charlie Watts, but I'm Thomas Lang, and I can't eat a $10,000 phone bill.
No,
that's
not
right.
at all.
That's
Leaving
right.
the phone off. And how do you feel about scrambly channels?
Yeah.
Let's none of that stuff. Oh my God.
Speaking
I never heard that story. That's insane. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah, right?
I only heard that probably maybe only about 6 years ago, and it was just after it had happened, and Thomas, of course, was like not even phased. Like when he heard why the $10,000 bill, he's like, oh yeah, no problem.
No, that's the amazing part of the story is that Thomas wasn't phased and he just took it.
Yep. Yeah. He just moved on. He's like,
well, it looks like somebody's going to pay for that. That sounds like a great idea. I'll do that.
Yeah. But no, it's and when Thomas tells it, it's very funny because he's very apparently Charlie was very quirky, but like very modest and very very humble, considering who he was. Which actually leads me into my next question. You worked probably with one of the most prolific drummers ever on the planet in Roy. What do you think, Chris, were some of the biggest lessons Roy taught you?
I learned a lot because I never, what's the right way to put this? I'd never worked at a company before.
Mm.
I had done, it's not freelance stuff necessarily, but I mean, when you work for, it was just something I had never done up to that point. And I'm OCD about a lot of things. So that helped me because early on, those guys realized, maybe to a fault, I was a little too meticulous. And it didn't take too long for those guys to okay, Chris, we gave him this thing. We don't have to worry about it because he's going to probably drive us nuts with you guys. I learned a lot of stuff, especially from Roy about drumming. And so that was fun. I mean, by that time, I really wasn't still playing a whole lot. At the very beginning, I was still playing, but so I wasn't practicing a lot. But he would show me, he had tons of stories. And then he would show me little drumming things, and I have them somewhere. I kept them all. I have them in a folder. He'd write out little bits, and hey, Chris, check this out. He'd take me, we'd go in the drum room, and he would demo it, or you could do it like this. But I tell you, the one thing I learned the most has nothing to do with drumming per se, but just business and life, and that is keep your big yapper shut until you get a lay of the land and you can read the room, because it's especially, we all have egos on some level, and I would be no different, even though you've heard that I'm the greatest guy. And so the temptation is to want to be in a group setting or a meeting setting and pipe up and say something brilliant and have everybody go, hey, Chris, hey. That's hard to resist. You want to prove yourself.
Yeah.
But especially Roy said, Chris, you're new here. Maybe just at the beginning, he kind of did me a favor. Just when we're in these meetings with these different countries, this is all new for you. Every country maybe has a different vibe. the Asian countries, there's a different way when you speak and mannerisms. Germany might be a different way. England is probably a little more familiar for us, but get a feel for how these people are, the cultures, and just don't say anything. And if we need you to chime in, we'll say, hey, Chris, what was that? Or can you elaborate on that for this guy?
Yeah.
And that was, but you can apply that to anything. When you're in mixed company or in an unfamiliar situation, it's okay. Just like with drumming, it's okay to not play an over the top fill all the time. You can, or not play a fill at all. It's fine.
Yep.
But again, it's the same temptation, ego, and especially if there's other drummers in the room. Okay, like Roy was used to say, that's what does guys in, unless they're really top level. Unless if Vinny Colaiuta and there's great drummers come in, he's gonna just blow it and blow minds as well. Yeah. But a lot of guys aren't there, and they're like, oh, here's two drummer buddies of mine. I'm gonna no. It's the same thing. It's okay not to play a fill. It's okay to keep your mouth shut. And then later, they trusted me. Okay, Chris, it's okay. You can start, or you take it, and then we'll chime in. Gotcha. But I got to say, that was one of the most important things. It's just kind of like, and get a feel, and then maybe interject. And it saved me because you just don't know.
Yeah.
And then when you get, you could really stick your foot in your mouth in a business setting. So I would say that's probably one of the big things I learned from him. That really has nothing to do with drumming.
No,
although you could make the analogy with fills.
You beat me to it. I was going to say that absolutely applies to drumming. 100%. Saying less almost gives a sense of wisdom, as a sense of you're listening, you're
2 ears, one mouth.
Especially as a drummer, playing less means you're just playing time. You're just doing your thing and really backing up and appreciating what else is happening in the room.
Like if you don't know the tune, maybe just start on quarter notes.
Yeah.
Until okay, this is a shuffle.
Right.
Instead of just going full guns and realizing, oh wait, this is a shuffle, and I just went
100%. Appreciating the silence and appreciating the space. I just posted that to my Instagram, as a matter of fact. Was a joke about drummers learning how to play. Drummers that play too busy learning about pocket, and it's a meme about I'm going to talk to you about space.
Yeah. And I would imagine, I know, like in speaking with you and Roy back then, I know Roy came from a way different era, from a different time, and especially one of the things I hold very dear is that the part of the interview that I to this day I still read it over is our discussion about tuning and just his insight and the reasons why he gave on why he tunes is like, I've tuned 50,000 drums and then played them. So, there's the guy.
Did you see that poster in the back there that says memory lock?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
That goes into what you're saying. He tuned so many drums. He used to do that in Rogers clinics. That was part of the clinic, is that he would not, the drums would still be in the boxes.
Wow. And
he would literally take them out and set them up at a certain amount of time to show how easy Rogers drums were to set up and tune them. That was part of the clinic with the memory lock and everything. So to your point, he did so many clinics and tuned so many drums. It was,
Which I mean, then when you look at, and this is what I loved about when I first discovered Aquarian, it kind of gave me the validation when I was like, of course Roy's at the head, because he was he actually truly believed in his abilities in tensioning, tuning drums, whatever you want to call it. And that to me really shone through the line, the way that, they played and all that. And I'm there's so many companies you see, it's like, it's very evidently, and I know it's hard to get away from it in this day and age, but it's just a big conglomerate that owns a name or owns a brand. And it's like, with Roy, you could tell there was a vested interest, and it was part of him, part of what his legacy would be. And I mean, that was just some of the best conversations was when the phone call I made to you and Roy back in the day. To this day, I talk about every day, or if I watch someone who pushes on the head, or does the I just kind of go, I
Right?
snicker. I don't want to start a fight, so I just don't say anything. But
that was. Are you talking about like stretching the heads in particular?
yes.
Yeah.
There's no need.
Totally. Yeah.
Really quickly, by the way,
it
just popped into my head, PJ.
Yeah.
This is a sidebar. When you were talking about doing that drum tuning and refurbing those drums today, of course, I would assume you were putting Aquarian heads on those.
It does go without saying.
Are my points still going up?
Do you want honesty? Do you want honesty here?
Get them here down at
the place in which I am employed, the drum shop I am employed at, does not currently carry Aquarian drum heads.
What?
But PJ, you're going to help rectify that.
Well, very true, and I do have to admit, before this, even if he's watching right now, I did speak to the owner about, hey, I'm about to chat with Chris here. Maybe we got to evaluate some things here.
I'm just giving you a bad time.
No, not at all, because I personally use Aquarian. I've got all my drums stacked right here.
I love it.
And, the super kick in particular is essential to me.
See, your point score just went up.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Sean knows I play very small shells. I've got a 14 and a 16-inch bass drum that I use fairly often. My 16 in particular, and that super kick is always on my 16. So,
it's funny with Roy with the tuning. He said, boy, we love our drummers, but they can sometimes make things so complicated, more than it needs to be, or convoluted. He never got super. He wasn't like, sometimes he would cross tune, but he would just make little adjustments.
Yeah.
And he was coming more from a jazz place, so
yeah,
he was always shooting for a sound in his head that maybe the three of us wouldn't be an all-purpose sound for us.
Sure. Right.
But I'll tell you where he helped me with tuning, because I don't have patience for that. I just want it done. When I built models when I was a kid, things would just be, because I couldn't wait for the glue to dry. So I'd put this piece on it. It's going, and then I'm trying to get this piece on it.
Chris, you're hitting a really soft spot with me. Continue, and I'll expand. Go for it.
And then, so I didn't, but he'd always watch, and sometimes he'd shake his head, and I'd give that to me. But one thing I learned about, especially for the snare drum, sometimes a couple of things. You get that snare drum where it's just, something's not right. It sounds choked, or it almost sounds like a tom-tom with snare wires taped on the bottom. You're like, what is going on here?
6 moon gels, throw them all on there.
Well, that would work for just a thuddy totally. Phil Rudd kind of thing. But what I learned from him was, one day we were in there at the drum room and tighten it up. And I thought it was pretty tight, the bottom head. Yeah. And he goes, nah, because bottom head's not tight enough. I said, really? And he goes, yeah. Guys of my era, way tighter than that. I said, way tighter? And I did a little bit more. He pushes on it. He goes, no, not yet. But I tell you what, that making sure the snare neural knob is not, pulling it up too tight. It's got to be a little, not rattly, but you can't choke it that way.
Yeah.
But he was right. Boy, that got rid of a lot of sympathetic vibrations, and it just made the thing respond great, and all the little ghost notes and the bzz, bzz, that all finally came out of the drum, and I went, oh, okay. Now, obviously, that would be more of a general, if you're looking for a thuddy or like a Steve Jordan, that snare sound he gets on daughters, goosh, that gushy thing, that's not going to get you there. But just for an all-around thing, it was an eye-opener for me. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. You're hitting, like I said, all the great soft spots. When I work at a drum shop, and lots of new people come in all the time. Now, what do I do with tuning? I've got a new, really potentially lower end kit. How do I make it sound good? And I want to get a brand new expensive drum kit someday, a $7,000 drum kit. I'm looking forward to getting there. And I always say, toms go bong, 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 kick goes thud. Cool. That's all you got to worry about. And it's literally verbatim kind of what I say. Toms go bong, 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 kick goes thud. You put your money in your snare and you put your money in your cymbals. That's what you're paid for. When you do a session, if I listen to an album, you know it from the snare, you know it from the cymbals. That, for me, that's where I put a lot of my money and my time into making my snare sound really, really good. And then when you're really excited about playing even more, then absolutely let's extrapolate, how to make those toms sound good, how to make the kick sound good. But it's too easy, in my opinion, that you go down this rabbit hole of like, oh, it doesn't sound good, and I can't get excited about drumming. I can't. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't sing the way I want it to sing. And when you take a little bit of weight off that it doesn't need to be amazing right away, and that it's a process to learn how to tune it, and you got to take off a tom, you got to play with it, you got to learn the mechanics of it.
You're not going to hurt it. You got to.
No.
Well, you could, but I mean, just like you said, you could tune it, and if it's not right, back it all off and start over. And another thing, I don't know if you guys, the two of you would agree, especially when you're younger, part of the problem with tuning is a younger drummer or a beginner drummer may not have a point of reference. And my dad always used to say, you can't create from a vacuum. If you don't have, like, if you got it, I love Ringo, or I want that Bonham sound. If you don't have something in mind, and you're just like, well, I don't really, who's your favorite drummer? Well, I don't know. Well, how do I get my drums to sound good? Well, you're not. If you want a Jeff Porcaro sound or Steve Jordan, you got to delve into those guys.
Yeah.
Now you've got something to shoot for.
I'm gonna be a little bit of an old man here for a second, which I think we can all appreciate. Is that of our generation? Oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this. We do have favorite drummers. We have drummers that we listen to. We have people that we
better believe it.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of kids. I love inspiring kids into playing drums. They don't have a point of reference. They don't know who the drummers are. They don't know. So when I ask who's your favorite drummer, they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, how long have you been drumming for? And he's like, oh, I've been taking lessons for 5 years. And I'm like, what drummers are you listening to? I'm not really listening to drummers.
And then they say, you want to play a song? And they go, yeah, let's do it. What song would you like to play? Can we learn this song off of Fortnite?
Yeah. Right.
You're like, totally. What?
Yeah. That's Snoop, by the way. That's exactly, Like the moment that you can like say to them, that's who this is, by the way. And I usually pull it up on my phone right in front of them. I'm like, the drummer for Taylor Swift, because you love Taylor Swift. Here's the drummer for that. Now we get to watch a video of him playing. Or here's the drummer for Foo Fighters that you happen to like. Like, here's Chad Smith, because everybody loves Chad Smith right now in particular. And so I'm like, here, let's watch videos of him. Then it sends people down a bit of a rabbit hole of, okay, you like that drumming, you love that sound, so now let's try to replicate it, like you said, Chris. Like, let's discuss how he gets that. And you may not be able to accomplish that with the snare you've got, but we can get pretty damn close. So let's go on the adventure together, right?
I mean, how frustrating would it be if you were painting and somebody said, paint a pond scene in a mountain, like a meadow landscape, but they'd never seen one.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have to have been there or seen other pictures of it. And then you go, and it's the same thing with, so I guess what I'm saying is you got to go, if you're a beginner, you got to go a little easy on yourself. These things take time. And what you guys said was true too. It takes some having a goal in mind, a sound in mind, and then you have to be willing to mess around with it. And it spends some months, maybe a year, just fiddling and going, okay, when I do this and this, I get achieve this thing.
Chris, what I say, once again, another speech I do is beer, hockey game, drum. That if you're just gonna sit and watch a hockey game anyways, just have your tom in front of you and just play with tuning in between periods or just whatever. Like have your practice pad in front of you. But I always go beer, hockey game, practice pad. Beer, hockey game, snare drum. Beer, hockey game, insert variable.
But if they were in the United States, what show would they be watching? Not hockey.
No, it wouldn't be hockey. It'd be college basketball probably. Right. College football.
I don't know.
Cider and that's exactly what it is. Bud Light and that.
So then
time is what it takes. You got to be up for. You need to be you got to be up for the adventure of exploring the mechanics of the instrument in which you're playing. Sorry,
And you can't be impatient.
Yeah,
that's right.
No, it takes for. I mean, even Dennis Chambers will tell you that's some guy.
He's a nobody.
Dennis Chambers.
Well, and that goes to the thing I was just saying about Roy with the snare drum. I mean, that was just not in Aquarian, my time here, Aquarian history. That wasn't too long ago. Yeah. And I've been playing for a while, and I learned that. So to your point, guys, time, it's not, things can dawn on you. You could be 30 years into this thing and go, oh, boy, I wish I would have known that earlier, but better to learn it than never.
Yeah. I've so many drummers I've interviewed, Cobham, Weckel, Chambers, all the big ones have all said, I am still a student of this instrument to this day. Like
Yes.
none of them cop to saying I've learned it all. They all say I'm still a student. I'm still learning. I'm still whatever. There's, and I think that's the beautiful thing about our instrument. And on that sort of, I guess, in that vein, Chris, with the fact that you work for a company that has a product that is by musical standards an older product. Drum heads are older now compared to the technologies out there. Where do you see our industry headed in 20, 30 years? Does the market for acoustic drums, is that still relevant?
I don't think that's ever going
to
go away, because you guys know this. I always have fun if I sit down on an electronic kit. It's not that it's not fun, but it's nowhere near playing a real drum. It's just, there's the feel, the concussion or impact of hitting the skin, moving air, of the space, like you were talking about, PJ, between the notes, and I don't care how good electronics are going to get.
Yeah,
they're never going to get all the nuance in volume levels from a little just whisper of a ghost note to a thwack. It's just not, it's never going to be there. And there's just something about, and this is why guys hurt themselves, because they're on an electronic kit and it's just high energy and they're like, and you want to say you don't need to do that.
You don't have to do that.
But easier said than done, because your body, you're thinking you're on an electronic kit. You want to dig in, and you just. So I don't think it's great for probably certain recording things and for churches and maybe bigger type gigs. But I think generally not. Acoustic drums are never going to go away. I would be shocked.
The acoustic experience, for sure.
Even by virtue of how electronic, like, I mean, we're to a large part, say electric, people compare the electric guitar to electric drums, and I'm like, no, those are apples and oranges, because electric guitar has a magnetic pickup, which by virtue has the actual tone of the strings. Drums are only really going to be picked up by the piezos. There isn't, there's no other. I mean, I don't even know how much voltage you would have to.
Can I be a little devil's advocate on this, please?
To get a magnetic kick drum pickup. I don't know if that's even possible.
No, my angle with electronic drums and acoustic, I always relate electronic to drums to, and acoustic drums to electric guitar and acoustic guitar. Yes. But what I always kind of profess is that when I play electronic drums, which I love playing electronic drums a lot, I genuinely hate playing acoustic sounds on electronic drums.
Right.
I will go to EDM, industrial. I will go to dance sounds. If I'm playing Daft Punk, if I'm sitting in with a DJ, I want very unique electronic sampled sounds. To hearken to what Chris was saying, the race of every manufacturer trying to get to the point where the acoustic drum or electronic drums sound like acoustic drums. We're never going to get there. That's cool. We're getting pretty darn close. Cool enough that people that are okay with that 20% difference and have $20,000 to spend on it, cool. That's great. That's awesome. But the people that can afford it are the people that are buying the sub $2,000 electronic drum kits, and those are the people I'm saying, play acoustic drums for this style. Oh my God, play acoustic. It's gonna be amazing. And now hybrid. Get those pads within your acoustic kit, and let's talk about, all your favorite electronic artists and creating a hybrid nature of things. That for me is way more exciting, only because I do that myself, right? Yeah.
It's funny you should say that, because when I in the times when I do sit down an electronic kit, I will take the little scroll knob and go through the presets, and I will find the kit that has all the weird things in it.
100%.
Boing, ding, and then you start creating grooves like ding, to me that's where it's fun. Not calling up the bebop kit and trying to play like hell, and there's no fun. I like the weird sounds, and then just messing around with that and coming up with little crazy grooves or something.
And I'll be honest, kids in particular connect to that pretty heavily, because statistically right now, and I've talked about this on a previous stream, statistically, a child's first experience with a musical instrument is digital. It's their first experience. They get into a lesson room, and 90% of the time in most lesson places, it's electronic drums for volume purposes. When it comes to piano, most people are playing digital pianos and not having acoustic pianos anymore. There's an onslaught of if you want an acoustic piano right now, there are a million people in your neighborhood trying to get rid of them. Like they are available for free.
We just got one here at the office because somebody was like, I don't have room for it.
Yep, they're free.
That
you got $80,000,
You can get acoustic pianos anywhere. So, like, somebody's first experience is always with a digital instrument, and that's really hard for a kid to be so inspired with all the weird sounds and play all these like unique different sounds or even electronic sounds. And I've witnessed it, Sean. You've heard me say this, where I've seen a kid sit behind an acoustic drum set and go, "How do I change this sound?" And you're like, "Oh, you can't. You got to put new heads on it. You got to learn about tuning. You got to learn about all these angles. Oh, I want this to be a different sound. Oh, no, that's not the way acoustic drums work. Sorry."
Yeah.
Right? So,
I keyboards, they have a little bit of an edge because, you can get a nice weighted keyboard where maybe the transition from a keyboard to a acoustic piano wouldn't be so drastic, but boy, I feel bad for kids that are starting off with electronics because it is a culture shock to go from electronic kit. First of all, you've seen it probably, PJ, where they get on a real kit like, oh, this is loud.
Yes.
Yeah. And
how do I turn down the volume of this?
Yeah, and this feels harsh.
Yeah.
And I can't control my volume. I don't have no really control over the sticks.
Yeah.
It's not like going from a weighted keyboard to an acoustic.
No.
I think it's a bigger jump.
Yeah, and there's the whole stick control. Just being able to be like the masters. I remember when I was studying with Dom, like just even mastering, the sort of the Jim Chapin, the one-handed triplets, and playing them. But then Dom would say, "Okay, play them quietly now," and don't change your tempo, blah blah blah. And it's like, right,
blah, 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 blah,
yeah, and you just you forget how much mastery when some of these players we still see Weckels, the Cobhams, you forget how much mastery is behind that. Those heads are just literally a part of a whole ecosystem that drummer has built up and practiced, and it's like the same thing. This recently, John Bon Jovi was asked who his favorite guitar player was of all time. He's like, "Oh, okay, if you're just on the spot," he's like, "I'm going to say Jeff Beck." And they're like, "Why?" And he said, "We did Blazing Glory, and he literally pulled a rental guitar out of the box and one take right there. That was all he did." I love that. So the same thing, you sit behind Cobham's kit, which I did it at a drum fest. And it's like, there's before he got there, I just was tapping on it. It's like, right, I'm never going to be able to make that sound like him. That's what's so beautiful about this instrument is you can't duplicate that person.
Sorry, can I go on the heels of that really quick? Only because it resonated hard with me. The school that I was doing all the drums for this morning, their final performance with all their students is tomorrow night. And they've invited me up on stage to do this medley with 4 different drummers on stage, and we're all doing this big medley together. And it's really exciting. I love that. And I was there today, and the owner was like, "Which kit do you want to play of all the ones that are on stage?" And there's about 6 drum kits on. No, more than that. I think there's 8 drum kits on stage. And I looked around and said, "Which one's the cheapest one?"
Nice.
And I was like, "That network one right over there, that network kit." I'm like, "Oh, I'll play that one. That sounds great." And I put some cheap cymbals on it, and I was like, "Done. I want to be that guy. I totally want to be the guy that's just having a good time behind a super affordable, nicely tuned kit."
There you go.
So 100%.
Do you guys? This is a real tangent.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced this where and I used to force myself to do this later, where you sit on a kit that's not yours, and you actually really start digging it, and things start coming out that never came out before. Maybe you're a 6-piece guy, and you sit on a 4-piece, and things are a little different angle or height, but you're like, "Wow, this feels really good," and things start flowing out that never did before. And you're like, I'm kind of liking this. Yeah. To your point about playing a kit that's totally out of your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, that I'd say resonate again. Yeah, 100%. I think maybe that's what we aspire to do, is to be consistently changed of our opinion.
Yep.
That the
Maybe
moment
that's
I'm
what
like,
it is. Yeah.
I only play 16-inch bass drums. Well, when I sit behind a 22, I'm like, this has merit. I'm going to play something a little different here. Or there's
Or if I
an
go
extra.
down to a 16
There's
from
two
a 24.
That's true.
Right,
24.
yeah.
No. Look, calm down. I'm not doing 24-inch
You
bass
should
drums.
see a Super Kick 3 on a 24, my friend.
It's probably very cool, but I don't need to take an Uber to my Tom's. Holy jeez. But even having little accoutrements, like a bit of my background, improvisational music. So it, not unusual to have a bow on my cymbal, for example, or like just having pieces of metal sitting around on some floor toms and that type of thing. But when things are different in front of me all the time, Chris, you're absolutely right. You approach the instrument different from an absolutely unique creative. I see all the ingredients in front of me. What am I going to cook? As opposed to going, I'm going to cook this. I need all these ingredients,
Well, your point score just went down when you said you have a bow on your kit, but I still love you.
Calm down. That's the best sound ever.
Here's another thing. Do you guys ever do this? And I can't remember if I read this, if it was like Peter Erskine, or I think it was Peter Erskine. I read it in Modern Drummer, and I started to do this. If I went to a rehearsal place, I would just play because a lot of guys will, I'm going to bring my pedals and the thing, and I'm going to bring my own, hi-hat stand and my seat. And I would just show up with sticks. And I thought, because Erskine said in this, I think it was him in his article, you need to get to a point if you're going to be a pro where you can, for the most part, sit down on any kit and be comfortable and make it happen. If you're like one of those guys like, well, normally my hi-hat's here, and then the right someone's got to be up, and the toms, instead of being, could they be this close? Yeah. Something's not right. And that hit home. I watched Buddy Rich on a Johnny Carson one night. They're on YouTube. You can watch.
Yeah.
And he sat in with the band, but they didn't have a little Ludwig kit for him. He sat down on Ed's double bass kit.
Double bass,
He didn't look at any drum.
No.
And he played that thing like it was his forever. Like he always played all the time. And I'm telling you, it was so different than his normal kit. The way the toms were high. Yeah. He didn't hit a rim. He wasn't even looking at the drums. And I went, that is it. He so owns those sticks in the instrument.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Drums are just, I'll sit down and play. And I used to get so in my head, well, the note's got to be, and the seat has to be this high. And I would force myself, and I never got to the point where I had total freedom, but I would force myself to get used to just playing however it was.
Yeah. That uncomfort is an interesting avenue to go down, right?
You guys ever do that? Like try to just not have things be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Constantly,
it was a big practice for me.
Change my configuration, try tilting the heads. Like
I'm personally a big fan of going to open mic jams, like jam nights.
Yeah.
There's one in particular here on Monday nights I'm in Kelowna, by the way, BC. One on Monday nights that is typically a jam. Like, it's not people showing up with prepared music. So it's just like somebody plays a cool lick, somebody plays something.
Start and go.
Let's see where we go with this. Right. And I'm a heads up guy, so I just love, like, if somebody does something with some nuance, let's change up the groove. Let's go with it. But that drum kit every Monday is set up completely different all the time. Somebody's making adjustments to it. And I don't even take my sticks. Like, whatever sticks just happen to be sitting there, picking them up. I'm like, oh, these are the biggest pieces of lumber I could possibly use. Okay, sounds good. I guess I'll use these for what I'm doing. But it is an exercise to exactly what you're saying, Chris. The exercise is what do I got in front of me, and how can I be musical behind it all the time
and be comfortable.
And I enjoy that. Oh my God,
totally.
And not be you just be like whatever it is, I'm going to own it. And, so that was.
And to be clear, there's failure behind that.
There's for sure.
Failure behind it.
I'm not saying I ever got to a point where, like, every time I could just roll with it. I never was that good, but it was always in my mind, like, I shouldn't be so hung up on this. If I really, because all the greats, when you see them, they just sit out. Like Bissonette, he's a a mentor of mine, and I studied with him for many years. And I watched him in many clinics, and he did a clinic at a store I worked at once. And we like, much like you guys, I know you've had the experience. I worked with, but had very famous drummers do clinics, and a lot of them are very particular, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But Greg was like, great. Plus, because I knew him, I said, well, what kid? He goes, buddy, just bring one of your kids, whatever. It's great. And you know how I like, and I just set it up. And he came in and just adjusted a few things really quickly and just played like he always played great and never complained. And I thought, it was one of those things, again, ingrained in me. Like, that's the goal. You just, like the Buddy Rich thing, you want to be able to sit out and just play and be free and not have that uncomfortable feeling. You just want to divest yourself of that if you can.
Yep.
That's good.
I never could, but that was it was in my mind, like.
Yep.
That's probably a good end point. We're going to wrap it up here right away. We got a little bit of time, but before we go, Chris, what's new and going on at Aquarian?
Well, one thing is, so we have a couple of new owners here. Obviously, Roy passed away, and Ron finally got to a point where decided to retire and just sell the thing. The good news is it's in great hands. One of the owners has worked at Aquarian in an outside capacity as a rep and has been in the industry way longer than me. Great guy. His name is Mike. And he asked me when he was in his partner, they were going to take over. He goes, if there's one thing you wanted to change, Chris, or a couple of things. Well, the first thing I said was Cymbal Spring's great, our first product. What I don't particularly care for, personally, is the way this, when you put this on the cymbal spindle, the way this goes in and potentially can bite into the threads of the cymbal spindle and just toast them. I said, if there was a way we could make this thing longer, where this screw would actually bite into the lower part of the cymbal tilter, that where there wasn't threads or something like that, they said, I would love to change that. Well, then COVID hit. And so we've been working on it, and we're going to come out with a revised version where it's almost like a self-lubricating brass threaded insert that will go on the spindle here, and there's no more. It'll just go on like that. Nice. So, and that's going to come out in a month or two. Perfect. I think it's almost done, and so that's a revamp of a tried and true product that'll be cool. We're working on a special practice pad with Mike Johnston, the online educator. We've got some other things. I think we're going to, it's, not life changing or anything, but a white Mylar bottom snare head. Nice. Our bottom snare head come in two weights, a 3 mil and a 5 mil. This is a 3.8 white Mylar. So, if you guys remember the old Ludwig heads, sometimes the bottom snare heads were white.
Correct.
Remember those? You get your acrylite or something, that'd be a white.
On a 400 or a 414.
Something
absolutely.
like that. So this will be, and for certain drum shops that want it, we can put their logo. This pro drum shop in Hollywood, put their logo on it. So there's some other things in the works that coming down the pike, but those are a few new things.
Nice.
Perfect.
It. So you can go to aquariandrumheads.com or your local music shop, Paul.
Not this one yet. That's okay. Chris, you and I will talk.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, for joining us. We're going to. I got to let Jill back into the office, so I'm just gonna have to. Well, three of us will have to say goodbye together.
Good.
Guys, I had so much fun. It's good to finally know what you look like and meet you, Paul.
Thank you.
What you look like. It's I had a lot of fun today, and it's fun just to talk about these concepts and not always. Pardon the pun here, geek out on just the drums themselves, but get into these ideas and concepts and things and just roll things around, spitball. I like doing that sometimes.
You have illustrated the point. We're just three drummers hanging out talking about drums. Because
gear's cool and it's important.
The drum industry.
It's important, the gear. But you guys said it. Jeff Beck, because they said that on that Rick Beato interview. Jeff Beck could pick up anything and sound like Jeff Beck. Same thing with Steve Gadd or Picaro, whatever. When those guys sit down, they sound like those guys. And it's not about the gear. It's about their touch and their feel, which goes back into our electronic thing. You're not going to learn that on electronics. But that's what's important, the concepts and the playing. Like Roy always used to say, Chris, you don't learn how to play drums from taking lessons, because you want to know when you're going to learn how to play drums when you get in that band and you get on stage.
Absolutely.
And you just hash it out and you fail and you fall over and you get back up and you do 100 gigs. Then you really know how to learn how to play drums.
Absolutely.
That's what he used to tell me.
Great way to end. Thank you for that lesson, Chris. That's awesome. Cheers, buddy.
Everybody.
Guys, thanks again. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
You're a hero. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.